Brazil, a vast and awakening giant, stretching its emerald arms across the South American continent, rising with a power that feels both ancient and brand new. This is not just a land of rhythmic football and the fleeting feathers of Carnival. It is a living, breathing entity, a sanctuary where the earth itself seems to pulse with a familiar drumbeat. For you, the African-American traveler, Brazil is not just another pin on a map or a stamp in a passport. It is a mirror. It is a profound, sprawling reflection of a soul that has long sought a place to simply be. As we stand on the threshold of this journey, feel the epic shift in the air. This is the only nation on Earth that holds the spirits of more sons and daughters of Africa than any land outside the continent itself. When you step onto this soil, you are not merely a tourist observing a foreign culture through a lens. You are a long-lost relative, returning to a home you didn't know you had. You are coming here to reclaim a piece of your spirit that was scattered across the Atlantic centuries ago, only to find it preserved, cherished, and amplified in the vibrant streets of this magnificent giant. In this land of stark contrasts and breathtaking grandeur, the very air carries the scent of recognition. Imagine a place where you can finally exhale, where the constant weight of being the other simply dissolves into the humid tropical breeze. In the bustling plazas of Salvador and the sun-drenched shores of Rio, the eyes that meet yours do not stare with curiosity or suspicion. They look at you with the quiet, powerful gaze of kin. There are no stares that demand an explanation for your presence, no whispers that question your right to occupy space. Here, your skin is not a target or a boundary. It is the standard. It is the canvas upon which the history of this nation has been painted in the most vivid and resilient colors imaginable. Brazil is a titan that has awakened to the truth of its own heritage, a country that breathes through the lungs of the diaspora. From the colonial cobblestones that still echo with the resilience of the ancestors, to the futuristic skylines that reach for a better tomorrow, the African influence is not a footnote, it is the entire story. The sheer scale of this awakening giant is enough to leave you speechless. Its mountains do not just sit, they tower like ancient guardians, draped in velvet green, watching over a people whose joy is a form of resistance. Its rivers are not mere bodies of water. They are the lifeblood of a continent flowing with a force that mirrors the unyielding strength of those who survived the Middle Passage and built a new world from the ruins of the old. This is a place of absolute brilliance where the colors are more saturated. The music is deeper, and the connection to the earth is more visceral. It is a kingdom of the soft life, where the pace of the world slows down to match the rhythm of your own heart. You are invited to walk through these streets, not as a stranger, but as an owner, a contributor to the magnificent mosaic of the human experience. As we venture deeper into the hidden corners of this fascinating realm, we will discover that Brazil's true wonders are not found in the travel brochures, but in the moments of quiet realization. It is found in the taste of acarajé on a street corner, a flavor that speaks of West African roots. It is found in the grace of a capoeira circle, where movement is a language of liberation. It is found in the dignity of the people who carry their history with a pride that is contagious. This journey is an invitation to strip away the defenses you've built up back home. It is a call to let the majestic beauty of the landscape and the warmth of the people wash over you until you remember who you were before the world tried to tell you otherwise. Brazil is the awakening giant that calls out your name in a voice that sounds like your grandmother's song. It offers a sanctuary of safety and a playground for the imagination. It is a realm where the epic and the intimate collide, creating a space where you can finally find the recognition you have earned. So let the epic music swell. Let the images of emerald forests and sapphire seas fill your vision and prepare yourself. We are going beyond the surface. We are going beyond the stereotypes. We are embarking on a pilgrimage to the very heart of the diaspora. Welcome to Brazil. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome to the most fascinating place on Earth, where the soul of Africa has found its most vibrant and enduring expression in the arms of a giant that never sleeps. Moving from the ethereal beauty of the landscape into the pulse of daily life, we must talk about the reality of existing within these borders. For the African-American traveler, the act of crossing an international boundary is often accompanied by a silent internal checklist. It is a psychological weight, a modern-day ghost of the Green Book that forces us to ask, will I be safe? Will I be watched? Will I be welcomed? In Brazil, the answer begins with a profound, soul-quieting shift in the atmosphere. Here, the heavy cloak of being a minority simply falls away. You are stepping into a nation where your skin tone is not the exception. It is the rule. It is the majority. It is the very fabric of the streets. From the moment you land, you will notice something that feels almost surreal, the absence of the stare. In the United States, we are often conditioned to expect the subtle, questioning gaze when we enter a space. But in the sun-drenched squares of Salvador da Bahia, or the vibrant avenues of Rio de Janeiro, that gaze is replaced by a sense of absolute belonging. In Salvador, often called the Black Mecca of the Americas, you do not just blend in. You disappear into a sea of people who carry your same strength, your same rhythm, and your same pride. There is a specific kind of healing that happens when you realize you no longer have to be the representative for an entire race. You can just be a person. The hospitality here is not a practiced performance for tourists. It is a genuine, ancestral recognition. When a local calls you brother or sister, they are not using a marketing slogan. They are acknowledging a shared lineage that survived the tides of history. It is a welcoming that feels like a warm embrace from a relative you haven't seen in a lifetime. You will find yourself invited into conversations, offered a seat at a table, and greeted with a warmth that tells you unequivocally that you have a right to be here. This is the safety of being home. This is the safety of being seen, not as a threat or a curiosity, but as kin. Beyond the emotional sanctuary, we must navigate the practicalities of making this journey a reality. For years, Brazil offered a visa-free experience for Americans, but the landscape has shifted. As of early 2024, Brazil has reinstated the visa requirement for citizens of the United States, Canada, and Australia. While the word visa often triggers thoughts of long lines and bureaucratic nightmares, the reality of the e-visa process is a testament to Brazil's desire to keep the doors open for us. The entire application is handled online. No trips to a consulate, no mailing away your physical passport, and no months of waiting. For a fee of approximately $80, you can secure a digital visa that is valid for 10 years. This isn't just a permit for a single vacation. It is a decade-long invitation to return to this land whenever your spirit needs a reset. For those looking to escape the relentless grind of the American rat race, those seeking what many now call the soft life, Brazil offers a logistical advantage that is hard to match. Upon entry, you are typically granted a stay of 90 days. But the true gem for the digital nomad, or the seeker of an exodus, is the ease of extension. With a simple visit to the federal police and a modest fee, you can extend your stay for another 90 days. This gives you a full 6 months out of the year to immerse yourself in the culture, to work remotely from a balcony overlooking the Atlantic, or to simply heal in the presence of a community that celebrates your existence. When you compare this to the high-stress, high-cost living in major American hubs, the math of happiness becomes clear. Your dollar stretches further here, allowing you to afford the kind of peace and luxury that feels gate-kept back home. You can trade the concrete jungle for the actual jungle, or the high-pressure office for a hammock in a coastal village. This is not just a trip, It is a viable path to a different way of living. It is the opportunity to transition from surviving to thriving. Brazil understands that the African diaspora is looking for a place to exhale, and it has designed its borders to be a gateway for that release. Whether you are coming for a 2-week rejuvenation or a 6-month transformation, the path is clear, the cost is manageable, and the welcome is guaranteed. You are moving toward a land that doesn't just tolerate your presence, but actively enriches it. This is your practical guide to liberation. This is your chance to step out of the margins and into the heart of a nation that looks just like you. Deep within the soul of this awakening giant lies a city that does not just remember Africa, but lives it with every heartbeat and every drumbeat. Welcome to Salvador da Bahia, a place that feels less like a foreign destination and more like a long-awaited family reunion. This is the Black Mecca of the West, the beating heart of Afro-Brazilian life, where the spirit of resistance and the beauty of heritage are etched into every cobblestone. As you walk through these streets, the air itself feels thick with a familiar energy. You are surrounded by people who look like your uncles, your aunts, and your cousins. Here, the representation is not a token gesture. It is the entire foundation of the city. You see Black men and women as the keepers of history, the masters of art, and the undisputed leaders of their community. This is a place where you can finally see a version of the world where your culture is the dominant force, the standard of excellence, and the source of all an inspiration. Number 1. Pelourinho. At the center of Salvador sits the historic district of Pelourinho, a kaleidoscope of pastel-colored colonial buildings that hide a deep and complex history. The name itself refers to the whipping post that once stood in the main square, a somber reminder of the pain and the struggle of the ancestors who were brought to these shores. But today, the narrative has been reclaimed. What was once a place of sorrow has been transformed by the sheer will of the Black spirit into a vibrant sanctuary of culture. As you stand in the Terreiro de Jesus, you are standing on ground that has been sanctified by the resilience of those who refuse to let their spirits be broken. The sounds of the Olodum drummers begin to rise, a thunderous rhythm that vibrates in your chest and echoes the ancient beats of the Yoruba and Bantu people. This is the sound of victory. This is the sound of a people who took the tools of their oppression and forged them into a celebration of life. In Pelourinho, you don't just learn about history. You feel the living, breathing triumph of the African diaspora. You see the Baianas in their flowing white lace dresses, selling acarajé with a dignity that commands respect. They are the matriarchs of this land, the guardians of the sacred traditions that have traveled across the ocean to find a permanent home here. Number 2. Capoeira and the art of survival. In the shadows of these historic squares, you will encounter the mesmerizing circles of capoeira, a martial art that is also a dance, a game, and a philosophy of liberation. Born from the necessity of survival, capoeira was developed by enslaved Africans who disguised their combat training as a folk dance to hide it from their oppressors. To watch a capoeira circle in Salvador is to witness a masterclass in strategic brilliance and physical grace. The music of the berimbau leads the movement, a haunting stringed instrument that dictates the pace and the spirit of the encounter. As the practitioners flip, kick, and balance with gravity-defying skill, you are seeing the physical manifestation of Black joy as a form of resistance. It is a reminder that our people have always known how to find freedom, even when their bodies were in chains. In Salvador, capoeira is not just a performance for tourists. It is a spiritual practice, a way for the youth to connect with their lineage, and for the elders to pass down the secrets of endurance. You see young Black boys and girls moving with a confidence that can only come from knowing exactly who they are and where they come from. The power of Salvador lies in this absolute lack of apology for its blackness. In the United States, we are often forced to negotiate our space, to tone down our vibrance, or to justify our presence. But in Salvador, the vibrance is the point. The food tastes of home with palm oil, coconut milk, and spices that bridge the gap between continents. The religious ceremonies of Candomblé preserve the orishas, the ancient deities that have protected and guided the people through the darkest of times. When you enter a terreiro, you are stepping into a sacred space where the connection to the ancestors is direct and undeniable. You see the pride in the eyes of the priests and priestesses who carry the wisdom of generations. This is the ultimate recognition. This is the place where you can see Black excellence, not as an anomaly, but as the natural order of things. Salvador invites you to take off the mask you wear back home and to drape yourself in the ruffles and the rhythms of your own heritage. It is a city that tells you that you are beautiful, that you are powerful, and that you have always belonged to a lineage of kings and queens. As the sun sets over the Bay of All Saints, painting the sky in shades of deep purple and gold, you realize that you didn't just find a city. You found a piece of yourself that had been waiting for you in the heart of the Black Mecca. This is the legacy of Salvador da Bahia, the awakening giant's most sacred soul. Beyond the spiritual sanctuary of Salvador, the awakening giant reveals its most iconic face, where the rugged earth meets the vast Atlantic in a dramatic embrace. Welcome to Rio de Janeiro, a city where nature does not just provide a backdrop, but demands your attention with a majesty that feels almost supernatural. Thousands of years ago, intense geological shifts and the relentless erosion of the sea sculpted the landscape into a series of sheer granite and quartz monoliths that rise abruptly from the ocean floor. Among these, the Sugarloaf Mountain stands as a silent sentinel, its smooth, steep faces reflecting the golden light of a sun that seems to shine with a different intensity here. From the summit, you see a city carved into the narrow strips of land between emerald peaks and sapphire waters, a testament to human persistence in the face of nature's overwhelming scale. But for you, the traveler seeking a deeper connection, Rio is more than just a postcard of granite peaks. It is a place where the vertical nature of the geography tells a story of social resilience and artistic triumph. As you look up from the luxury of the beachfront, your eyes land on the favelas, the vibrant communities perched high on the hillsides. For too long, these neighborhoods were viewed through a lens of struggle. But today, they are the undisputed engines of Brazil's creative soul. This is where the heartbeat of Rio truly resides. As you venture into these winding alleyways, you are met with an explosion of street art that rivals any gallery in the world. Murals covering entire buildings tell stories of Black pride of orishas watching over the children, and of a people who have mastered the art of making something beautiful out of nothing. You see young men and women reclaiming their narrative through hip-hop, through graffiti, and through the soul-stirring rhythms of funk karaoke. In these heights, you find a sense of community that feels hauntingly familiar, a spirit of making a way out of no way that echoes the very best of the American experience. When the heat of the day becomes too much, the city draws you back down to its legendary shorelines, to the sands of Ipanema and Copacabana. In the United States, the beach can sometimes feel like a place of silent judgment, a space where we are hyper-aware of how our bodies, our swimwear, and especially our hair are being perceived. But on the sands of Rio, that anxiety simply evaporates. The Brazilian beach culture is a masterclass in body positivity and radical self-acceptance. You will see Black women of every age and every size moving with a confidence that is breathtaking, their natural curls and intricate braids celebrated as the crown jewels of the shoreline. There is no such thing as a beach body here, because every body is a beach body. You can walk along the water's edge in your most vibrant suit, your hair salt-crusted and free, and feel nothing but the warm gaze of a culture that finds beauty in authenticity. This is the freedom of Rio. It is the ability to move between the sophisticated urban sprawl and the raw power of the mountains without ever feeling like an outsider. You find yourself at a kiosk at Posto 9, sipping a cold coconut water, surrounded by a crowd that reflects every shade of the human family. You realize that in this city, you are not being watched for what makes you different. You are being embraced for what makes you human. The natural wonders of the granite peaks and the crashing surf provide the theater, but the people provide the soul. Rio de Janeiro invites you to climb its heights and swim its depths to find the art in the struggle and the peace in the waves. It is a city that teaches you that true luxury is not found in a hotel room, but in the ability to walk down a street and feel completely, unapologetically free, as the silhouette of Christ the Redeemer spreads its arms over the city in a gesture of eternal welcome. You understand that this giant has carved out a space specifically for your joy. This is the magic of Rio, where the earth and the spirit rise together in a celebration that never ends. To continue our journey into the heart of the awakening giant, we must leave the bustling city sounds behind and move toward the border, where nature reveals its most primal power. Close your eyes and listen. That is not just the sound of falling water. It is the thunderous roar of ancient gods, a symphony of devastating strength and unyielding beauty. Welcome to Iguazu Falls, one of the greatest natural wonders on the planet, where water does not just flow, it dominates both space and time. For you, the traveler seeking a deep connection to roots and power, Iguazu is the embodiment of resilience and the endless flow of life. This waterfall system is a unique geological marvel formed from a massive volcanic eruption that left a deep rift on the Earth's surface. Here, the gentle Iguazu River suddenly plunges into a horseshoe-shaped abyss, creating a network of 275 waterfalls, large and small, intertwined along a path nearly 3 kilometers long. To help you visualize this overwhelming scale, the flow of water during peak season is so immense that it could submerge the entire city of New York in a sea of water within just a few short minutes. Standing before the Devil's Throat, the highest and most ferocious point of the falls, you will feel intense vibrations deep within your chest. It is a place where the boundary between sky and earth seems blurred by thick mist and eternal rainbows. For the African American community, the image of this rushing water carries a very powerful spiritual symbol. Throughout our history, water has always been a boundary, a path to freedom, and a place to wash away pain. At Iguazu, the power of the water does not bring a sense of threat, but a release. When tiny beads of mist cling to your skin and hair, it is as if nature itself is blessing your presence. You will feel small before the greatness of creation, yet simultaneously incredibly strong, because you are part of that eternal flow. Here, there is no discrimination, no narrow prejudices, only you and the sound of absolute freedom. Scientists explain that the collapse of geological plates created this labyrinth of waterfalls. But when you stand there in person, you understand that there are things far beyond scientific explanation. It is the soul of the earth speaking. You can spend hours walking along the wooden paths that wind through the tiers of falls, with every turn revealing a scene more ethereal than the last. Vibrant tropical birds soar through the water smoke, and the dense surrounding jungles seem to hold the falls in a protective embrace. Iguazu is not just a tourist destination. It is a spiritual experience that helps you realize that no matter how harsh life may be, we can still pour down like these fierce falls, strong, brilliant, and full of pride. The Brazilian giant has chosen this place to remind us of our own inner strength. Let the roar of the gods at Iguazu awaken the greatest dreams within you. For in this land, you are always welcomed by the grandest magnificence the world has to offer. A journey to Iguazu is a journey to see that our strength, like this water, is never exhausted. Leaving the thunderous power of the falls behind, we venture deep into the emerald lungs of the world, a place where the earth breathes in a rhythm so deep and primal, it feels like the beginning of time itself. Welcome to the Amazon, a vast sun-dappled sanctuary that covers over 2 million square miles, a realm so immense that it defies the human imagination. For you, the African-American traveler entering the Amazon, is like stepping into a cathedral built by nature, a place where the concept of the wild is not something to be feared, but a sanctuary of profound peace and survival. In a world that often feels overcrowded and loud, the Amazon offers a silence that is rich with the sounds of life, a place where the distractions of modern society fall away, leaving you alone with the heartbeat of the planet. This is the most biodiverse corner of the Earth, a living library of species that have spent millions of years evolving in perfect harmony. Scientists estimate that 1 in 10 known species on Earth lives here, from the brilliant macaws that streak across the canopy like living rainbows, to the jaguars that move through the undergrowth with the silent grace of royalty. For our community, there is a powerful connection to be found in this resilience. We understand what it means to grow and thrive in environments that the world deems inhospitable. The Amazon is a testament to the fact that life in all its vibrant and varied forms will always find a way to flourish when it is rooted in its own truth. As you drift down the chocolate-colored waters of the mighty river, you feel a sense of awe that is not just about the size of the trees, but about the sheer persistence of the life they support. Within this green labyrinth, we find the true masters of adaptation, the indigenous tribes who have called this forest home for millennia. Their existence is a masterclass in living in balance, a philosophy that mirrors the ancestral wisdom that our own people have carried across generations. These guardians of the forest do not see themselves as separate from nature. They are a part of it. They understand the language of the leaves, the medicine of the roots, and the cycles of the rain. In a time when we are all seeking a softer way of living a soft life that prioritizes well-being over consumption, the indigenous people of the Amazon offer a blueprint for a future rooted in respect and sustainability. To witness their way of life is to remember a time when we too were more closely tied to the land, finding everything we needed in the bounty of the earth. It is a reminder that wealth is not measured by what you own, but by how deeply you are connected to the world around you. As we peer beneath the surface of the river itself, the Amazon reveals its most alien and fascinating curiosities. The waters here hide creatures that seem to belong to another planet entirely. Consider the pink river dolphin, or boto, a mystical creature of local legend that swims through the flooded forests with an intelligence and grace that feels almost supernatural. These are not the dolphins of the open ocean. They are uniquely adapted to the winding, murky corridors of the river, their flexible necks allowing them to navigate through submerged trees. Then there is the giant lily pad, whose leaves can grow up to 10 feet in diameter, strong enough to support the weight of a small child, a natural throne on a kingdom of water. And deep in the darkness of the riverbed, the electric eel can generate a shock of up to 600 volts, a reminder that in this forest, Even the water carries a spark of divine energy. For the Black Traveler, the Amazon is a place of profound healing and reflection. It is a space where you can reclaim your sense of wonder and strip away the layers of performance that the world demands of you. Surrounded by trees that have stood for centuries, you realize that your story is part of a much larger, more ancient narrative. The Amazon doesn't care about the labels society has placed on you. It only recognizes your breath, your presence, and your spirit. It is a place where you can finally blend in with the raw, unfiltered beauty of the creation. As the sun sets over the canopy, painting the sky in shades of deep indigo and burning orange, you understand that this giant hasn't just preserved the breath of the planet. It has preserved a space for you to find your own. The Amazon is not just a destination. It is a homecoming to the very essence of what it means to be alive, resilient, and free. It is the breath of the giant inviting you to breathe again. Leaving the dense emerald canopy of the Amazon behind, we journey toward a landscape so surreal it challenges the very boundaries of our reality. Imagine a place where the scorching heat of a desert meets the refreshing touch of a tropical oasis, a realm of pure white sand that stretches to the horizon, dotted with thousands of crystal-clear turquoise lagoons. Welcome to Lensois Maranhensis, a geological anomaly that feels like a dream world, created by the gods themselves. For you, the African-American traveler seeking a space of absolute purity and peace, this is more than just a destination. It is a sanctuary of light. In a world that often feels cluttered and gray, Lensois Maranhensis offers a stark, breathtaking clarity, a place where the sky and the earth meet in a dance of blinding white and deepest blue. At first glance, your eyes will tell you that you are standing in a desert, but your spirit will feel the presence of water. This is the great mystery of this land. Unlike the Sahara or the Mojave Lensois, Maranhensis is not a true desert despite its appearance. This fascinating terrain is the result of a unique geographical phenomenon. Every year, powerful winds carry sand from the Atlantic coast miles inland, creating massive undulating dunes that can reach over 100 feet in height. But here is the miracle. This region sits just outside the Amazon basin and receives a tremendous amount of rainfall during the first half of the year. Because the bedrock beneath the sand is impermeable, the rainwater cannot drain away. Instead, it collects in the valleys between the dunes, creating a labyrinth of freshwater lagoons that are as warm as a bath and as clear as a diamond. For our community, standing amidst these white sands feels like a powerful metaphor for the soft life we are all reclaiming. We are so used to the grind, the heat, and the metaphorical deserts of our daily lives. But here, the giant Brazil shows us that even in the middle of a desert, there can be an abundance of refreshment. There is a profound healing in the act of walking barefoot over these cool, silken sands and plunging into a hidden pool of blue water that feels as though it was placed there just for you. Here you are, not just a spectator. You are part of a masterpiece of light and shadow. The silence of the dunes is not empty. It is a full, vibrant silence that allows you to hear your own thoughts and the steady rhythm of your own heart. As you wander through this ethereal landscape, you will find yourself in a state of constant wonder. One lagoon may be a deep sapphire blue, while the next is a bright emerald green, each one filtered by the white sand until it achieves a level of purity that is almost spiritual. There are even fish that inhabit these temporary pools, their eggs surviving the dry season. Deep in the sand, only to hatch when the rains return, a beautiful reminder of our own people's ability to remain dormant yet resilient, waiting for the right moment to bloom again. For the Black Traveler, Lençois Maranhenses is a place to shed the weight of the world. Surrounded by nothing but the elements, you realize that your presence here is a form of luxury that cannot be bought with money alone. It is a luxury of the spirit. There are no crowds here to judge you, no city lights to blind you, and no noise to distract you from your own greatness. It is just you, the wind, and the endless mirrors of water. As the sun begins to set, the white dunes turn to shades of soft pink and burning gold, and the lagoons reflect the stars, like fallen pieces of the night sky. In this moment, you understand that the giant has carved out a corner of the world where you can truly be light. Lençois Maranhenses is not just a geological wonder. It is a sanctuary for the soul, a place where the desert of the past is washed away by the lagoons of the future. It is the giant's invitation to find your oasis, to dive deep into the blue, and to emerge refreshed, renewed, and absolutely free. Leaving the pristine white dunes of Maranhenses behind, we venture deep into the interior of the awakening giant, where land and water merge into a labyrinth of survival that leaves no room for weakness. Welcome to the Pantanal, the largest tropical wetland on the planet. A wild kingdom where instinct rules and resilience is written in blood and endurance. For you, the African-American traveler, the Pantanal is not just an ecological wonder, it is a hymn to inner strength. This is a place where nature does not hide its scars, where every creature must fight to assert its right to exist. In this vast space, you will find a deep connection to the iron will of those who came before us, those who turned hardship into strength and pain into life. At the heart of this water kingdom, a golden ghost moves with absolute silence through the dense thickets. This is the jaguar, the largest cat in the Americas, and the ultimate symbol of power in the Pantanal. Unlike their relatives in Africa or Asia, who are often wary of the water, Brazil's jaguars are masters of the river. They do not just hunt on land, they are true aquatic warriors. Watch a jaguar stalking along the riverbank. Every muscle ripples beneath its brilliant spotted coat, its eyes focused with an unwavering determination. When it plunges into the murky water to confront a fierce caiman, it is not just a hunt. It is a testament to adaptation beyond limits. The jaguar does not fear the enemy. It turns the enemy's environment into its own playground. For our community, the image of this solitary yet authoritative jaguar carries a powerful message of self-sovereignty. The jaguar does not need a pride to assert its status. Its strength comes from self-understanding and the ability to master its circumstances. In the modern world, where we often face the murky waters of prejudice and challenge, the spirit of the jaguar reminds us that true power lies in perseverance and the ability to rise from the most difficult places. When you witness the moment the jaguar triumphs and steps onto the shore with the posture of a king, you will feel a spark run down your spine. That is recognition. That is the glory of the one who never gives up. The Pantanal is an ecosystem of extremes. During the rainy season, rising waters submerge everything, forcing all species to adapt or disappear. During the dry season, the parched earth tests the patience of all life. But it is in this ruthless cycle that the Pantanal becomes its most brilliant. Giant jabiru storks build nests atop tall trees. Families of giant river otters guard their territory together, and vegetation regenerates powerfully immediately after droughts. The resilience of nature here precisely mirrors the iron will of human beings. We understand better than anyone the feeling of having to rebuild from ruins, the feeling of having to bloom on barren land. The Pantanal celebrates life not because it is easy, but because it has overcome death. For those seeking a soft life, but still craving spiritual depth, the Pantanal brings a powerful silence. Here you can sit in a small boat, drifting slowly through the mangroves, listening to the call of the wild and feeling absolute freedom. No one judges you. No pressure weighs on your shoulders. It is just you and the greatness of an ecosystem operating according to the most ancient laws. This is where you can shed the protective armor you must wear daily in America to immerse yourself in the flow of life. You will realize that, like the Pantanal, your soul is a vast, rich land that cannot be tamed. The Brazilian giant has preserved the Pantanal as a treasure of the spirit of survival. As sunset falls, staining the vast waters, red and highlighting the silhouette of the jaguar by the riverbank, you will understand that you are standing in a place where life is a privilege, protected by courage. The Pantanal invites you to look into the harshness, to find beauty, to look into the struggle, to find peace. This is not just a trip to see wildlife. It is a pilgrimage to celebrate your own enduring strength. Let the kingdom of the jaguar teach you how to hunt your dreams with composure and how to stand firm before every storm of life. Because in the Pantanal, resilience yet is not just a trait, it is an eternal legacy. Beyond the wild frontiers of the Pantanal, we return to the pulse of human connection to address the most urgent desire of the modern black traveler, the reclamation of time, peace, and luxury. In the United States, we have been conditioned to believe that life is a relentless grind, a cycle of working to survive where our worth is measured by our productivity and our peace is always deferred until retirement. We carry the ancestral weight of labor on our shoulders, navigating a high cost of living that often keeps the dream of a soft life just out of reach. But as we look at the awakening giant of Brazil through the lens of the American dollar, a radical new reality emerges. Here, the economy of joy is in your favor. In Brazil, you don't just exist, you flourish. You move from the margins of survival to the center of a kingdom, where your hard-earned wealth finally buys you the one thing that has always been gate-kept freedom. The economic pain we feel back home, the rising rents, the astronomical grocery bills, and the luxury taxes on our very existence, finds its antidote in the streets of this magnificent nation. When you bring the strength of the US dollar to a place like Florianopolis, often called the Magic Island, the transformation is instantaneous. Imagine living in a world where a luxury penthouse overlooking the turquoise waters of the Atlantic costs less than a cramped studio apartment in Brooklyn or downtown Atlanta. For the price of a standard monthly mortgage in the States, you can secure a residence with floor-to-ceiling glass walls, private rooftop pools, and a level of security and service that would be reserved for the ultra-wealthy back home. This is not a dream. This is the reality of the exchange rate meeting a high quality of life. In Florianopolis, the soft life is not a hashtag. It is the baseline. Consider the daily indulgences that we often skip to save for the future. In the high-end districts of Sao Paulo or the coastal escapes of the South, a fine dining experience that would easily cost $300 in New York is yours for a fraction of that price. We are talking about world-class gastronomy. Multi-course meals prepared by master chefs using the freshest organic ingredients of the land, served in environments of absolute elegance. You can sit at a table where you are treated with the highest level of respect, enjoying a bottle of premium Brazilian wine and a feast that honors your palate, all for the price of a casual Friday night takeout back home. This economic shift allows you to breathe. It allows you to say yes to yourself. It allows you to invest in your own wellness, from daily massages and personal trainers to the luxury of simply sitting in a beachfront cafe for 4 hours because your time no longer carries a heavy price tag. But the true invitation of the awakening giant goes beyond a 2-week vacation. We are speaking to the exodus, the growing movement of Black Americans, who are realizing that the American dream might actually be waiting for them in the Southern Hemisphere. Brazil offers a clear path for those who are tired of the struggle. Why just visit a sanctuary when you can build a home in one? With the rise of digital nomad visas and favorable policies for those with remote income or retirement funds, the transition from a visitor to a resident is simpler than you've been led to believe. Imagine a life where your daily commute is a walk on the sand, where your community is a vibrant mix of people who celebrate your presence, and where your bank account actually grows while your stress levels disappear. This is the message for our community. Do not just travel to Brazil to see the sights. Come here to see your future. Think about resettlement as the ultimate act of self-love. You have spent your life navigating systems that were not designed for your peace. Brazil offers an environment where the architecture of society is built on a different rhythm, one that prioritizes family leisure and the enjoyment of the present moment. You can trade the high-pressure, high-stakes environment of the North for the supportive, sun-drenched reality of the South. In places like Curitiba or the hidden beach towns of the Northeast, you can find a quality of life that is unattainable in the US for most people. You can find a place where your children can grow up, seeing Black excellence as the norm, and where you can finally lower your guard. As the sun sets over the skyline of Florianopolis, reflecting off the glass of the luxury towers and the calm waters of the bay, the giant whispers a promise of a better way. You have worked hard enough. You have proven your worth 1,000 times over. Now it is time to enjoy the fruits of that labor in a land that values your joy. Brazil is not just a destination for your camera. It is a destination for your soul. It is the place where your dollar finally matches your dignity. So look at these penthouses, taste the richness of the life here, and ask yourself, why am I still waiting? The soft life is calling. The giant is waiting, and the doors to your new kingdom are wide open. This is your exodus. This is your time to reign. Brazil, a vast and awakening giant stretching its emerald arms across the South American continent, rising with a power that feels both ancient and brand new. This is not just a land of rhythmic football and the fleeting feathers of Carnival. It is a living, breathing entity, a sanctuary where the earth itself seems to pulse with a familiar drumbeat. For you, the African-American traveler, Brazil is not just another pin on a map or a stamp in a passport. It is a mirror. It is a profound, sprawling reflection of a soul that has long sought a place to simply be. As we stand on the threshold of this journey, feel the epic shift in the air. This is the only nation on Earth that holds the spirits of more sons and daughters of Africa than any land outside the continent itself. When you step onto this soil, you are not merely a tourist observing a foreign culture through a lens. You are a long-lost relative returning to a home you didn't know you had. You are coming here to reclaim a piece of your spirit that was scattered across the Atlantic centuries ago, only to find it preserved, cherished, and amplified in the vibrant streets of this magnificent giant. Beyond the sun-drenched beaches and dense jungles, we venture deep into the heart of the continent to discover a breathtaking contrast between the past and the future. Brazil is not only a wonder of nature, but also a testament to human intellect and resilience, where bricks and stone cliffs tell stories of transformation. For you, the African-American traveler seeking affirmation of status and stature, the architecture of Brazil carries a powerful message. It is the connection between the skilled hands of our ancestors in the past and the aspirations of future generations to reach for the stars. Here you will find that the Black presence is not just in dances or food, but is deeply engraved into the foundations of the greatest works. Let us travel back in time to Ouro Preto, a jewel hidden among the hills of Minas Gerais. This heritage city is a labyrinth of steep cobblestone streets and pristine white colonial houses. But the real highlight of Ouro Preto is its brilliant Baroque churches, where pure gold is plated on every surface, creating a breathtaking splendor. For our community, Ouro Preto is a sacred place of recognition. Most of the masterpieces of sculpture and architecture here were created by the hands of black and brown craftsmen, most notably the master artist Aleija Dinho. He was a son of African blood who overcame physical pain to create the most exquisite prophetic statues and altars the world has ever known. When you enter the Church of São Francisco de Assis, look up at the soaring ceilings. That is not just art. It is an affirmation of black genius during a time when the world deliberately forgot their value. In Ouro Preto, you see people who look like you, not just as laborers, but as the greatest artisans, those who breathed soul into stone and gold to create the face of a nation. Fact number 3. Brasilia, the city born from a dream of the future. If Ouro Preto is the echo of history, then Brasilia is the declaration of a new era. Built in the late 1950s, in the middle of a deserted plateau, Brasilia is an unprecedented modern architectural marvel. The most interesting point is the city's planning. When viewed from above, Brasilia is built in the shape of a giant airplane, spreading its wings and flying forward. The fuselage of the plane is the central axis estoas, where government agencies and the square of the 3 powers are located. While the 2 wings are modern residential areas with ultra-green housing blocks and amenities. For the African-American audience, Brasilia represents a vision of innovation and a completely new beginning. This is a city without a slave past or the scars of colonial history deeply etched into every street corner. It is a city designed for equality and efficiency. The works of architect Oscar Niemeyer, with their soft curves of pure white concrete, evoke a sense of freedom and openness. Standing before the Cathedral of Brasilia, with its pillars reaching high, like hands praying toward the sky, you will feel an intense faith in the future. In this city of the future, you see a society striving to redefine itself, where Black Americans seeking the soft life can find a model of modernity and order. The contrast between the splendor of Ouro Preto and the minimalism of Brasilia shows you the multi-dimensionality of the Brazilian giant. On one side is the celebration of the hands and spiritual heritage of the ancestors. On the other is the symbol of humanity's aspiration to reach the peak. Brazil invites you to witness both. It reminds you that we are both the keepers of the fire of the past and the architects of the future. In these architectural wonders, there is no judgment, no exclusion, only awe at human talent and stature. Let these works inspire you, helping you realize that you also have the power to build the greatest empires and dreams of your own. The Brazilian giant does not just show you buildings. It shows you your own infinite potential in a world where the Black presence is always at the center of creativity. Brazil is an awakening giant that always reaches out its arms to welcome you. But for your journey of liberation to be perfect, we must talk about the practical rules of survival and how to shine. For African Americans, travel is not just about sightseeing. It is about moving smartly and safely in a new space. In this segment, I will provide you with the key to unlocking the Brazilian experience with absolute confidence, helping you drop your guard and truly enjoy the soft life you have always craved. First, let's talk about navigating the vibrant urban centers of Brazil. In the States, we often worry about safety when walking in unfamiliar areas. And in Brazil, that caution remains necessary, but with a different strategy. Ride-sharing apps are your best friend. In Rio or Sao Paulo, Uber is not just a mode of transport, it is a safety shield. Always use the app instead of hailing taxis on the street, as it provides a transparent route and a clear driver profile. A small tip for our community: choose a slightly higher vehicle tier if possible. The cost is still very low compared to the US dollar, but it provides maximum privacy and comfort. When night falls, Brazil becomes mystical and alluring. But this is the time to stay away from remote areas or deserted streets in the city center. Stick to the light and rhythm of busy neighborhoods like Ipanema or squares where locals gather. Do not carry overly expensive jewelry or flaunt technology in unnecessary public places. Remember, our goal is to blend in, not to become a target. Regarding culture, prepare for your heart to melt from the warmth of the people here. In the United States, we may be used to reserve and personal distance. But in Brazil, connection is everything. Greeting with a bright smile and a warm hug is the universal language. For our Black brothers and sisters, you will be surprised to find locals welcoming you with a tight hug, as if they have known you for a long time. Do not hesitate to return that sincerity. A smile and a simple greeting in Portuguese can open doors that no amount of money can buy. This hospitality is a healing balm for the soul, helping you realize that your presence is not seen as a threat, but as a gift. And finally, we cannot fail to mention the pinnacle of Black Presence Carnival. If you want to see the absolute power and brilliant beauty of African blood, come to Brazil in February. This is not just a festival. It is a grand escape into freedom. In the samba schools of Rio or the street parades of Salvador, you will see millions of Black people occupying public spaces with unshakable pride. You will see the most magnificent costumes, the most explosive dances, and a vibration that you have never felt anywhere else in the world. This is the moment when people who look like us hold all the attention, where your beauty is amplified thousands of times over. Participating in Carnival is the best way for you to see that you belong to a kingdom of joy and endless creativity. The Brazilian giant has prepared everything for you, from convenient apps to warm arms and fiery festivals. Equip yourself with this knowledge to walk like a king and a queen in this country. Brazil does not ask you to change. It only asks you to be yourself in the smartest and most complete way. This is your guide to living a life without anxiety, where every step carries the confidence of someone who has truly found a safe harbor. Welcome to the freedom that Brazil has reserved just for you. As our journey through the heart of this awakening giant draws to a close, let the vibrant sounds of Rio and the sacred drumbeats of Salvador settle deep within your spirit. We have traversed lands where nature displays both its crushing power and its ethereal beauty. But the greatest wonder you have discovered on this voyage is not found in the majestic waterfalls or the soaring skyscrapers. It is found in the reflection you see in the mirror. Brazil does not change who you are. It does not try to mold you into someone else. Instead, this great nation acts as a guide, a long-lost sibling holding your hand and helping you reclaim the true self you may have felt forced to hide for far too long. For my African American brothers and sisters, Brazil is a gentle yet commanding reminder that you have always belonged to this world. You do not need to prove your worth, adjust your voice, or dim your brilliance to be accepted. Here in the arms of the giant, you have seen a version of yourself that is free celebrated and loved simply because you exist. The peace you found on those white sand beaches or beneath the ancient forest canopy was not a temporary escape. It was healing. It was the moment you realized that the soft life you seek is not a luxury, but your birthright. You leave Brazil not with a suitcase full of souvenirs, but with a heart full of dignity and a soul washed clean of the anxieties of the past. The power of Brazil lies in its ability to stitch the broken threads of history into a brilliant mosaic. As you step onto that plane to return, carry with you the pride of the artisans of Ouro Preto and the iron will of the Pantanal jaguar. Remember that wherever you are in the world, the magnificent blood flowing through your veins is the source of all creativity and resilience. Brazil has shown you a safe harbor, a place where you can blend into the crowd and still feel like the only one who matters. This is the legacy this giant leaves with you, an unshakable belief in your own value. But our journey of reclamation and liberation does not end at these South American shores. If your heart stirred at the warmth and the vibrant black identity of Brazil, if you began to feel the call of the ancestors echoing in every breath, there is another place waiting to welcome you back. There is a land across the ocean where every road leads home, and where your presence is a grand event, centuries in the making. If you loved Brazil, then join me as we continue our journey to Ghana in the next video. It is a place where the call of the motherland is louder than ever, where the door of return is wide open, and where you will truly understand what it feels like to be held by the earth that birthed us all. Thank you for walking through the wonders of Brazil with me. Hold on to this fire, protect the peace you have found, and never forget that you are worthy of all the greatness this planet has to offer. I will see you in Ghana, where our journey truly becomes whole. Farewell to Brazil, and welcome to the next chapter of your life.